Welcome to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. I'm your host, Shannon Ables. And whether you're listening on your commute, exercising, working in the garden, or sitting down with a hot cup of tea or a cafe au lait, thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. Welcome to the 250th episode of the Simple Sophisticate. In today's episode, we're going to talk about our sanctuaries, the decor within our sanctuaries, and how to put our own signature touches on it. But before I get to that, this week's Petit Plaisir is also tied to the decor theme, as it's a series of shows that I think many of you will enjoy if you haven't already enjoyed it. And I'm going to share with you where you can view them because they're hard to find. I know for me, I couldn't find them until recently. And now that I have, I want to share with you. So stay tuned as I'll talk to you about what that is at the end of today's episode. But what we're talking about today is how to create a beckoning sanctuary that reflects your journey. And I want to begin with a quote that I recently saw, and it's nothing fancy, but I think it's a good reminder that we need to slow down this process when it comes to curating, decorating our homes to suit us as we want them to be or as we hope that they will become. And this quote was found in Architectural Digest's Clever website. They have this new website called Clever. You still go to architecturaldigest.com/clever, and that's their new online destination for decor ideas. And they quote French actor and artist Frédéric Emico in his Paris loft when they state, "Never decorate all at once." He states, "When you do it all at once, you make mistakes. So take your time trying out different pieces and never settle." And I think these are sage words to just keep in the back of our mind. If nothing else, to give you an opportunity to catch your breath and slow down if you feel that you haven't gotten your home to where you want it to be and it's taking too long. It should take time. That's the good news. And it's a patient project, I guess you could say, or a project that needs our patience. So much like our wardrobe, our mind, our relationships, all of them ebb and flow. They grow, they migrate, they wander, and progress as much as we choose to let them. And our sanctuaries shouldn't be any different. If you can for a moment, reflect upon your childhood bedroom and the first time your parents gave you permission to decorate it as you pleased. The paint color, the linens, and everything else that you had the opportunity to change. Or maybe you just took the initiative and did it on your own without asking permission. Whenever that happened, what did you do? What was it like? And how did you know what to choose? And why did you choose those things? Then graduate to your first home away from home and how you decorated that. Perhaps it was your dorm room, or maybe it was an apartment. And then remember the next home and the next and the next as your life began to unfold. I can remember vividly during my junior year in high school, wielding a paintbrush, ushering in a double bed, selecting the wallpaper for the accent wall, and reveling in my very own grown-up sanctuary. Then college arrived, and it was my first apartment sophomore year that furniture was needed, and much of what I purchased was cheap and yard sale must-have finds, but there were treasures that I brought with me from my childhood home: that black iron rod bed, the dishware found at an unexpected estate sale, pictures that held dear meaning. All these little things stayed with me or were chosen to remain with me because there was something about them that reflected my journey. Then came my first adult apartment during graduate school and living on my own, no roommate to share my space with for the first time, and I dared to paint an entire wall red and framed a ton of pictures on this picture wall in gold. It reminds me of some of the rooms or places that I've gone to in castles, but not to the quality of those castles by any means. But what in the heck was I thinking? But at that time, I loved it, because it reflected my choice at the time. And having a choice and a home that was all my own felt liberating. And so I went for it. Never before have I painted a wall red since then. It took 3 at least coats to make it as I had hoped, but I don't regret that decision for a moment. It defined that moment in my life. Since then, the homes I have rented or owned have been unique unto themselves, but one detail always remained constant: the woman living within the 4 walls. Me. You. Wherever you go in your journey, you are always there. Even so, each home of which my paycheck has paid the monthly mortgage or rent has gradually evolved to reflect more of what has shaped me and influenced me and inspired me to become the person I am today. And as much as we, okay, maybe this is just me, but more so in my earlier years of ownership, may want our homes to come together immediately as soon as we move in to reflect the aesthetic we desire and see in our mind's eye, our most authentic sanctuary will be a reflection of patience, of thoughtfulness, and of careful selection. Not all of us have the luxury of being able to live in a home we love for decades, and others might state that it is a luxury to be able to move frequently based on curiosity and other opportunities. But either way, we can take what means the most with us to our next home, so that no matter where we go, our journey can be reflected within the 4 walls of our sanctuary. Today, I'd like to share with you ways that you can begin to decorate your sanctuary to not only reflect your journey, which will offer comfort and confidence each time you cross the threshold, but also be welcoming to, most importantly, the inhabitants, but guests who are invited to visit as well. Now, in last Wednesday's post, I shared 8 small but unique ways to add your signature to your sanctuary, very specific to core ideas, many of which, as you will discover if you click on the link that I share in my show notes, or if you've already read the post, reflected my journey thus far over the past 40 years. And today I'd like to share less of the specific things to include and more the concepts to consider when deciding what should hang on your walls, fill your rooms, and welcome you home. So I have 6 things that I want to get into, and let's get into them. Number 1, a few questions to ask. Does it warm your heart and lift your spirits? Ask yourself this question when deciding what pictures, paintings, souvenirs, etc., any item that doesn't perform a function, but rather only adorns a wall, tabletop, or shelf, just to display. So anytime those items come into your life, and they're not going to help you make a better meal, they're not going to simplify your life with regards to their function, but do they create a feeling inside of you? And if that feeling is positive, if it warms your heart, if it lifts your spirits, that's a keeper. Being reminded of what you are capable of, perhaps in a picture or an award or an item that you found that reflects a particular goal that you achieved. Maybe it was on a trip, a goal that you set to travel a certain place and you did that and this was a sign of that or a reflection or reminder of that. Keep that thing. Being reminded of the love that was felt and expressed. Maybe it was in a picture, maybe it was in an arts and craft item, something you guys built together, something someone gave you that you care about, or being reminded of a dream that came true. All of these reminders are helpful and healthy, especially on those days and during those moments that we need comfort and confidence to be strengthened and nurtured. So that's the first question to ask about any item that doesn't have a very clear and obvious function. Does it warm your heart and lift your spirits? Number 2, what function does it provide? And this is the part where I think even those items that don't have literal functions actually have function. If it warms your heart and lifts your spirits, that's a function and that's a keeper. But let's look at this more broadly. Being clear about the function that an item provides, either literally or figuratively. So, for example, on the literal side, a candle holder, a vase, a settee, a bench, or on the figurative side, a painting, a particular coffee table book, throw pillows. Clarify in your mind why you are considering this particular item for your home. If the reason is because it is the color of the year or it's something that was recommended by your favorite influencer and they have one, unless your signature for your decor is trendy, perhaps find a deeper purpose for welcoming this particular item in your home than just those 2 things that I mentioned. But if instead the reason is to provide warmth or to lift your spirits or to hold your favorite bouquet of flowers during that particular time of year that always comes into bloom, and that vase fits perfectly on that particular table, then by all means, welcome it into your home. It's amazing how when you look around your home, you can see, oh, I remember the story behind that item. Oh my gosh, I know why I bought that item. That one helps me out so much. And they don't all have to have this deep, long, personal story. But if they help you live a better and more fulfilling life, if they improve the quality of your life, that's the key. And that's why I begin today's episode with those two questions. And they probably remind you of the quote that we often hear and see around Pinterest and see quoted in every decor book. Have nothing in your home that you don't know to be useful or believe to be beautiful. And that's from William Morris. Now, with points 1 and 2 that we just discussed, it may appear that I am simply further describing what he has stated. And if your interpretation of the quote is similar to mine, then we are in good company. But for me, it goes deeper, and that's why I wanted to talk about this quote. Because the question that always comes up in my mind is, what does beautiful mean in that particular quote? Beautiful must go deeper. Beauty can only be present with regards to keeping an item if it fits the two criteria above, the what function does it provide and does it warm your heart and lift your spirits, in a more visceral part of our well-being. There are many items that are beautiful, from traditional to modern furniture and designs, art that speaks volumes from contemporary to acclaimed icons from the past. But if it doesn't mean something to you, if it doesn't have a story as to why it spoke to you, then let someone else welcome it into their home. It doesn't mean it shouldn't be enjoyed by someone, but maybe that someone just isn't you. You can appreciate beauty from afar. It's very similar to an item of clothing that is beautiful in the window, on the runway, on the hanger. And it's not that you don't like it, that you don't buy it. It's because it doesn't fit your lifestyle or it doesn't work with what you want to convey in your home. I am continually editing my home, just as I am my closet. And with more evaluation comes more removal of items that were bought at the spur of the moment out of perceived need. Gradually, those items, if they don't possess both of the criteria mentioned above, are replaced by items that do, and the home's decor begins to feel more symphonic. Speaking of symphonies, there is more criteria to consider when bringing it all together when it comes to your home. Number 3, cost per true value. Similar to cost per wear when it comes to clothing, but slightly different, cost per true value is how much does it cost to acquire the item while taking into account the value it will add to the overall quality of life over the amount of years you expect to own the item. In other words, the antique dining table that cost $1,000 and would fit perfectly in your dining room. If you buy it, there would be no more need for separate tables. More dinner parties could be enjoyed, more opportunity to share your passion for cooking and your partner's passion for convivial conversation about the guests' favorite topics. Many would say this is priceless, and others would say you can do the same thing around 2 nondescript tables pulled together. But this is where the decision will be different for each person. What do you want to invest in? What is it that brings you and those you love great enjoyment and peace of mind even when the house isn't full of people? Some of the items we bring into our homes will be treasure finds for pennies of what they are actually worth. Or maybe they're not worth anything at all to anyone else, but priceless in your eyes. Whatever you choose to invest in monetarily, simply remember to ask the cost per true value question and answer it for yourself honestly. No one else's opinion, unless they are paying for it or are a partner in the household, should matter. So that's number 3. Consider the cost per true value. Today's episode of the Simple Sophisticate is sponsored by Native. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. At Native, they create safe, simple, effective products that people use in the bathroom every day. They create products with trusted ingredients and trusted performance. Not convinced? Check out the 7,000 5-star reviews from their customers. Native deodorants are formulated without aluminum, parabens, and talc, filled with ingredients found in nature such as coconut oil, shea butter, and tapioca starch Their products are made in the United States with ingredients thoughtfully sourced from around the world, and they do not test on animals. With free shipping and returns, this is a product that works. Having had the opportunity to try their lavender and rose deodorant, I can attest. It was an easy decision to switch from my original deodorant to Native, as I love the scent, and for my sensitive skin, it worked wonderfully. Less is more with Native. They have fewer, simpler ingredients, so you know everything that's in your deodorant, and there's something for everyone. Native comes in a wide variety of enticing scents for men and women. Plus, they receive new limited edition seasonal scents throughout the year. They offer an unscented formula and baking soda-free formulas for those with sensitivities. They offer free returns and exchanges in the United States. And as a Simple Sophisticate listener, you have the opportunity to save 20% off your first order. Visit nativedeodorant.com and use the promo code Sophisticate during checkout. Again, save 20% as a Simple Sophisticate listener off your first purchase when you visit nativedeodorant.com and use the promo code Sophisticate at checkout. Today's episode is also sponsored by Molecule. Molecule is the only air purifier that actually destroys pollutants. Molecule is a complete reinvention of the air purifier, not just an improvement on existing outdated technology, as it was developed by a scientist whose son suffered from asthma and who was frustrated by the fact HEPA air purifiers did not relieve his son's symptoms. Unlike HEPA filters, Molecule destroys indoor air pollutants at a molecular level, completely removing them from the air you breathe. One customer even said that she was able to breathe through her nose for the first time in 15 years. Molecule's technology has been personally effective and verified by science, but most importantly, it's been tested by real people. Molecule has already helped allergy and asthma sufferers around the country better cope with their conditions and significantly reduce their symptoms. As a Simple Sophisticate listener, you have the opportunity to save $75 off your first order when you visit molecule.com and enter the promo code Sophisticate at checkout. That's Molecule, MOLEKULE.com, and enter the promo code Sophisticate for $75 off your order. As we continue this list of ways you can create a beckoning sanctuary that reflects your journey, just remember that this, again, is something that's going to take time. And that's what is actually a relief, I think, in many ways. As much as we want everything done immediately, this is something that should give you a breath of fresh air and help you enjoy the process more of creating the sanctuary that you love being in. So let's get into the list again. Number 4. Consider the decor that spoke to you on your travels. Now, I know many of Simple Sophisticate listeners and Simply Luxurious Life readers are travelers, and you travel to all sorts of amazing places, large and small, far and near, all around the globe. And often it isn't until we see and then sometimes live with temporarily through staying in vacation rentals a particular decor idea that we realize how excellent of an idea it is or how much it makes us feel at home even when we are far away. That says something. Whenever something like that happens where I'm sleeping in a bed or I'm in this particular space, and I'm like, why does this room feel so comfortable? I look around me and I consider all the details, all the elements, and that's when I start to take a note of, oh my gosh, I never thought to do that with the curtains, or I never thought to organize my furniture in this particular layout. And as I showed in my post last Wednesday, and I've included a link to it on the show notes, one decor idea that I would have never known about, and this is something so simple, I don't know why I wouldn't have known about it, but I just never really saw it and put it together. But it's simply using linen tablecloths, rectangular shaped linen tablecloths as curtains. I don't have to size them because I can just simply fold them to exactly the height or length that I need. And the thing that I love with linen is that it reminds me of France and my travels to the south and the north of the country, and the curtains that I now have in my home that not only serve a much needed function, but they also bring back fond memories. And so it's twofold. It doesn't have to be twofold, but it's twofold, function and heartwarming at the same time. So consider that for a moment. If you've already been to some amazing places or places that you just felt really at home in, even if it's a place that you just went to tour, maybe you went to a museum, maybe you went to a historical place, maybe you went to a particular house that you got to see a tour of, whatever it was, what was it about that space that really spoke to you? And maybe you can incorporate that into your home now, and it's a conversation point as well. So there you go. Number 4, consider the decor that spoke to you on your travels. And that's why it will continually evolve, because we will continually travel, and that's fun too. Number 5, does it tell a story that you want to welcome into your home? I have an antique English draw leaf table. That was the first dining room table I ever owned. And it's more of it looks like a pub table, because I've seen it at many different pubs and places that are small kind of cafes and restaurants like that. It's small, it's not big. So that was my dining room, and it worked for me, and it was all I could afford. And actually, if you go to the show notes, you can see a part of that table. It's the first picture of my show notes post. You can see part of it, the legs and the one side of it. But I've also included a link to one that's similar on One Kings Lane. And after saving up $400 in college, I have had it with me ever since. No matter what size my home, no matter where or how far I'm moving to, I have always made a spot for it. And currently it holds my record player, which suits it perfectly as it brings the music and the news into my home. As well, a chair from an individual who you knew or have known, and simply remembering who they are makes you smile when you look at the piece of furniture. Even if there are a few tears in the upholstery, these items are keepers. Now, not everything in our homes will have long stories that will make your heart smile, but gradually, once you have what you need to live sufficiently, you can be thoughtful and careful about what you wish to bring into your sanctuary. Often, it actually becomes easier to know what precisely to include, because you also know what is needed and what you will appreciate and truly cherish. So that's number 5. Does it tell a story that you want to welcome into your home? And number 6 is just an idea that will, again, express part of your journey. And it's simply to include custom art or upholstered items with beloved fabrics from your travels or the past. Whether you are a painter or an artist, or someone else has painted for you or illustrated something for you, framing it gives you an original piece of art that no one else can have. Whether it's a playful piece of art, maybe it's a sketch from your childhood or your child's childhood, or a serious seasoned artist or first timers, you've met them in person, or you understand and love their story and you want to bring that into your home, or as an artist you met on your travels, something like that. The art you display can share a glimpse of your story to those who invite you into their home, as well as remind you of what you care most about. This last summer, I had the opportunity to meet an artist who had her art exhibited in the square there at Vaison-le-Romain in Provence. And I stayed in my vacation rental for just over a week. And every morning I'd wake up and I'd see the boutique out my window. And one time, 2 different times, maybe 3, I went into her boutique and I adored her art. It obviously expressed the beauty of Provence. And then she also painted up in the north off an island in France. And so she had a bunch of paintings of the ocean and the waves. And then one day I met her. And it was just lovely to meet the woman behind the paintings. And I asked as many questions as I could think of at that moment, even though I wasn't expecting to run into her. And it just made me that more desirous of wanting one of her pieces of art. Number 1, I love what she was painting. It was beautiful. It was part of my journey in a small way, but a significant way. And then I get to meet the woman behind it and hear a bit of the story and where she was when she painted some of these works. And those are the kind of pieces you want to bring in if it's possible. And with regards to upholstery, if you're reupholstering a chair or a sofa, or you just purchased a piece and you're trying to decide what to cover it with, consider covering it with fabric that you found in your travels, or maybe it's fabric you found in your family's attic. I know my grandmother and my mom both were and are, my mom, seamstresses. They are, as far as they sewed a lot, and my grandma actually has a lot of different fabrics that my mom has inherited, and different items have been made out of those things. Some pillows, some blankets, all different ideas could be used, but those pieces of fabric come with stories, and it's something that no one else can find. You can't find it in a retail store, and they certainly can't buy that story. So it's a way to, again, bring in your journey, something that speaks about something you care about. And so that's number 6. Include a custom piece of art or art throughout your home, or upholstered items with beloved fabrics from your travels or the past. Transforming a house or an apartment into a home is a creative journey and a revelation of our truest selves in many ways, if we want it to be. recognizing the power of communication and comfort and confidence that can transpire simply with the decor choices we make is a tool we can put in our toolbox to improve the quality of our lives. It is a process that requires patience, but one day, when you least expect it, or aren't looking for it, or trying to achieve it, you will find yourself sitting in that one particular spot in your home, passing the time doing something you love, either on your own or with someone you love, and you will feel the most at home that you have ever felt. Such a feeling is not because your home is complete. It never will be. It is because you have curated a space that enables you to relax, recharge, share yourself without saying too much or saying just the right amount in each room of the home, and knowing you did what you could with what you had. It is my hope that you experience such moments often, no matter where you are along your journey. Because if my experience has taught me anything in each of the homes I have inhabited, it is possible to feel it often throughout your life. And it only gets better with each step forward along the journey. All right. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. As I mentioned, there is a glimpse of my home in my living room, just a glimpse, but you'll see a handful of the items that I talked about in last Wednesday's post on today's show notes. And that Wednesday's post is worth checking out if you want some specific ideas, small, unique touches that you can add to your home to create a signature look that makes you feel all the more at home. That link is also in the show notes. I've also included 3 other links to posts from the archives. Episode 228 is all about Parisian decor ideas, and episode 219 is all about how to create surroundings for everyday contentment. So some of these ideas for your surroundings have to do with decor, and I talk about those, and others do not. They're more conceptual. You can check that out. And then I also include a top post, one of the top 100 posts. This post is something that many people have visited and enjoyed. 22 tips for creating a grown-up's living space. And those are all on the show notes, the simplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast 250. Now I'll be right back with this week's Petit Plaisir. But first, a sponsor for today's episode. Eucalypso makes ultra soft sheets from 100% organic eucalyptus fibers that are sustainably milled. They are the perfect balance of soft, breathable, and gentleness on your skin for the perfect night of sleep. Eucalypso's sheets feel like a cross between cotton and silk. They are super soft and ultra light. Now, having had the opportunity to use their sheets, feel the fabric in my fingertips, I can attest it does feel like silk, and it just feels light and cool. And it actually enables you to stay cool, but also keeps you very warm depending on the time of year. Eucalypso sheets are naturally temperature regulating and are 3 times more breathable than cotton, creating a comfortable sleeping environment. Their sheets are hypoallergenic, breathable, and sustainable. 3 awesome qualities for sleeping well and feeling good about what you purchase. As a Simple Sophisticate listener, you have the opportunity to take 15% off your order with free shipping on your entire purchase. Simply visit eucalypsohome.com and use promo code SIMPLE. That's Eucalypso Home, EUCALYPSO home.com, and use promo code SIMPLE to take 15% off with free shipping on your entire order. Welcome back. This week's Petit Plaisir is a series that aired on BBC One. And it's something that I mentioned in 2017 when I came across it while I was in Devon, England. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't wait to share this with you guys. But I have not been able to find all of the episodes in this particular series. What it is Mary Berry's Country House Secrets. And it's available, all 4 episodes are available on BritBox. And what I love about BritBox is it's finally available, and maybe it has been for a while, but I haven't been searching for it lately. It's available on Amazon Prime. You pay a couple dollars a month, and you get access to all these different British shows. And one of them is Mary Berry's Country House Secrets. She has other series on the BritBox that are available as well. And The episodes, again, will take you to grand country houses throughout Britain. The first one is going to start with a showstopper. This is Highclere Castle of Downton Abbey fame. And each episode is just over an hour, about an hour, 15 minutes. And not only do you get to tour these spaces, not only the homes, but the grounds, meet the people who live and work there, but she also will make at least 2 recipes in each of these episodes and also incorporate items that are inspired by her visit. So different places that she visits. So I mentioned Highclere Castle in the first episode. And then in the second episode, she visits Scone Palace in Scotland. Then she goes to Devon and goes to Powderham Castle to spend some time there with the Earl and Countess. And lastly, she goes to a racetrack and makes a breakfast on race day, as inspired by her visit to Goodwood House. So as you can see, this is a series to indulge in. Granted, most of us don't live in big, grand estates and castles, but perhaps some inspiration can be garnered, and we too can be reminded of things we love and want to incorporate in our homes. So here is a trailer for this series. It's not that long, but I wanted to give you a glimpse of what you will see when you check out Mary Berry's Country House Secrets.
Our stately homes hold many remarkable secrets.
This is Napoleon's chair, actually.
I could do with a cushion. Join me, Mary Berry, as I reveal what it's really like to live and work.
I think you're better at baking.
In these extraordinary places, full of culinary inspiration.
Very special.
That's delicious.
This is your invitation to dine at some of the grandest houses in the land.
Mary Berry's Country House Secrets.
And as you heard her say there, she does dine at each of these places. And that too is a fun experience to see, just the decorum and the place settings and the service, but also the food that gets served. Oh my gosh, bring your appetite, or maybe come full when you come to watch these episodes. I don't know. So again, the series is called Mary Berry's Country House Secrets, and you can find it on BritBox, and more specifically, you can find it on Amazon and Amazon Prime. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Petit Plaisir, where each week ideas are shared to make the everyday all the more enjoyable. Tune in at the end of each Monday's podcast, where I'll recommend a book, a film, or a recipe. Anything that is a simple pleasure to satiate your sophisticated taste. I want to thank you for tuning in today. Before I sign off, I wanted to send out a few thank yous and share reviews of my new book as well as the podcast. Here is a recent review of my new book, Living the Simply Luxurious Life, Making Your Everydays Extraordinary and Becoming Your Best Self. Catherine gave the book 4 stars and shared Shannon Ables talks from her heart and her experience about living simply, living luxuriously, and becoming your best self. Her guidance makes sense, is doable, and most of all, easy. I especially like how she talks about being single and learning to love where you are in life. She can be proud of this book, as it says all the things she talks about in her newsletter and podcast. I want to thank Catherine for taking the time to write this thoughtful review so that new readers, new potential readers considering picking this book up will get a glimpse as to what they will find when they open the book. This next review is about the podcast, and it's from Geo Janey, and she writes, went back to the first episode, 5 stars. After listening to the audio of Shannon's book, I discovered the podcast, and so thanks to the wonder that is podcasting, I was able to jet back in time to the early episodes and begin listening from the beginning. What a joy. Thank you for all of your very, very hard work, Shannon. You have created an amazing and lovely body of work. Our hostess has a sure and steady hand on this production, giving the product fantastic production value quality. She has a lovely, lively voice. These 2 qualities just make listening a pleasure. Add to that she is whip smart, full of energy, and simply brimming with curiosity about her topics, and the result is awesome. Finally, from those times when she has a guest for the show, I find that Shannon has to be the most skilled interviewer that I have ever heard, and I mean ever, and across all platforms. I want to thank Geo Janey for sharing a very specific review of the podcast. I appreciate this thoughtful feedback because it gives listeners an idea of what they will discover when they tune in. And this review actually goes on quite significantly. So if you want to see the whole thing, please check out iTunes where she left her review. So thank you very much for your time. And if you too are enjoying the podcast, simply giving it a starred review, you don't have to write anything out if you don't have the time, means a lot because it definitely lets people know that this is something something you enjoy and it's worth their time. Same goes for the books as well. And before I wrap up, since we were just talking about England and Britain, just a reminder that in about 2 months, so starting on May 19th, the first annual British Week will debut on the blog. So for an entire week, we're going to be focusing all on British everything. So keep your calendars marked for this. We have some great giveaways lined up. I'm so excited about this week. We've done French Week before, and we will continue to do French Week. French Week happens in August, but we're going to have Brit Week in May starting May 19th. So mark your calendars. I'm very excited. All right, wrapping up. Hope you have a wonderful week. Spring or fall is just around the corner for everybody, and I'll be back next Monday with a new episode. Thank you for tuning in to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. For more ideas and inspiration throughout the week, visit the blog, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com, or pick up my new book, Living the Simply Luxurious Life, Making Your Everydays Extraordinary and Discovering Your Best Self. You can also pick up my first book, Choosing the Simply Luxurious Life, A Modern Woman's Guide, which is available now in paperback, ebook, and audio versions on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes, or wherever books are sold. To stay caught up on the most recent episodes of the podcast, blog posts, my new cooking show, and receive exclusive news as well as an extra dose of inspiration to jumpstart your weekend, subscribe to the Simply Luxurious Life's weekly newsletter, which arrives in your inbox each Friday to enjoy with a hot cup of tea or a morning cup of coffee. Until next Monday, I'm your host, Shannon Ables. Bonne journée!